All right, so I want to hear the setup. This was about 2-3 days ago, right? Just happened.
Recently.
It just happened. Tell us
Wednesday
your
morning.
routine. Are you normally at this gym? Is this a gym where you've seen him before? How crowded is it? Kind of set the scene for us.
And let us know how you listen to the Junks. Are you just a transplant? I mean, how did that happen?
He's from Fairfax. Were you not listening?
I didn't listen to the part that he was from Fairfax.
I'm from Fairfax, born and raised. I was born in Pittsburgh, but grew up in Fairfax. Long-time Junkies listener.
Nice.
Moved here end of January and a little homesick, and so did the radio.net thing and get a little bit of home cooking with the Junks every morning.
I love that. I love that. So what was the time that you were there?
He was listening to our Rizzo interview.
Is that what it was?
Rizzo.
All right, so I want to hear all that. And then how big is the gym? Is this a normal part of your routine? Do you see guys like Incognito in there all the time? What set that stage?
Well, it's Lifetime Fitness, and I was a 20-year member in Centerville.
Right.
So I was able to come down here, and it's a beautiful gym. It's large. Cost me a little bit extra money because it's a so-called Diamond Club, but it has all the amenities. I can swim. But the really thing that I like about it is there's this outdoor turf area, very large, about a third of a football field that, I would call it my playground because it would have all the different toys, if you will, to work out. And
right, the alpha area, right? That has like turf and football sleds and those type of things, right?
Yeah, and down here it's just a lot larger than I've seen in any other gym, specifically even Lifetime. So yeah, definitely. And I'd never seen Richie at all. It wasn't unusual to see professional athletes down here. It's in adjacent town called Boca Raton.
Mm-hmm.
It's a beautiful gym. So seeing professional athletes wasn't unusual. I was doing my routine, warming up. I knew Rizzo was coming on at 9. I'm a huge Nats fan. I'd just been back home, and my mom is a huge Nats fan. She's 82 years old, and she was like, "Do you get to keep in touch with the Nats?" And I go, "No, not much, except listening to the radio because everything's the Marlins down here." But so I'm just sort of starting my warm-up routine, sort of taking some laps around the field, and a gentleman comes up, takes his shirt off, and he was huge. I had no idea who he was. He was inked up and big boy, and I was just, But I knew immediately something was off. He was what I referred to as ADD when his workout. He was spending 3 seconds doing something, moving to something else.
Yeah.
And then he went over to the boxing mannequin, tore it off its pedestal, threw it down in a wrestling move, and put his knee into the head.
That seems rather aggressive.
Right.
Yeah, and so I just, I'm just sort of minding my own business. And my first thought was, been there, done that, as far as just maybe he's just trying to work up some steam, hard day, whatever. But I thought it was just very strange, and I kept on working out. He then proceeded to just start cutting me off doing these little sprints. The field was big, and I was like, what in the world is he doing? And I was by myself, and then he showed up, and that's not unusual either.
Right, sure.
And then next I know, I felt his presence. I got nailed with a tennis ball in the back of my leg. And the place is adjacent to a tennis court, so it's not unusual to see balls over there. And I that's when I said, what the F up, dude? And he grunted something, said something to me, and I just was like really, at the same time, my head was spinning like, what in the world is this guy trying to do?
By the way, how big are you? I just want to kind of picture this. Like, are you a bigger guy?
Yeah, but my buddy had made a joke over social media, said he thought I could take him, and I said, dude, he's an inch taller, he's 120 pounds heavier, and he's 20 years younger.
All right.
And I had no interest, obviously, whatsoever. The next half lap, he all of a sudden I look over because I was a little concerned. He launches in a grenade-style launch a dumbbell towards me, and I have to stop for it to land in front of me. And that's when I just said, oh, well, I'm sorry. Right before that, I put together a weight sled to push. I went over there to grab it. He ran in front of me and grabbed it and pushed it and tried to run me over. And that's when I really went crazy. And that's when he goes, get off my effing playground. And so I continued to run around, and I was like, man, this is not right.
By the way, Mark, how big was the dumbbell that he threw in your direction?
I think it was like a 10-pound dumbbell, something that he could launch pretty. And that's when after the sled incident. That's when I got my, I was listening, I had my earbuds in. I got my phone on, and he then started yelling at me. Who are you calling? Are you with the government? Who are you calling? And I said, dude, I have no idea what's going on, but this needs to stop. And so when the 911 operator got on, she could overhear him.
Yeah.
And said, is that him? And I said, yeah. She goes, you need to move away from him as soon as possible. I go, oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah, why didn't you? I'm surprised you didn't leave earlier. Like, I understand you're a big guy. You feel like you
gotta
can
get your
handle yourself.
workout in.
But, I mean, this guy's obviously
He cuts
losing.
me off once. Like, I'm doing a
Yeah.
lap, and he cuts me off with a sprint, like, very close to my body. I'm out of there.
He's throwing a tennis ball at me. I'm just
Right.
out. I'm just out.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. And that's where I was just, I never been threatened at a gym before. I was just trying to do my thing.